This is Friday night, not normal content, just a live stream for a chat with all of you. So if you're watching after the fact over the weekend, you look at it and you go, oh my God, it's 2 hours long. When does he ever get to the point? I never really do, to be quite honest. No, we just have a bit of a ramble, and you guys light up a smoke if that's your thing. Pour yourself a drink if that's your thing. Cup of tea, cup of coffee, whatever. Just polishing up the watch. Wearing the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. So today wearing it. I just figured I'd give it a little nice polish. And some other watches that I haven't worn in a while. I'll try them out. Who is in the room? All the usual suspects. How's it going, guys? Everybody having a drink? What have you got in the wrist? What have you got in your hand? And if it's something filthy, don't tell me. What drink do you have in your hand is what I mean. Drink and smoke. Thoughts go out to Ali, our good friend in the watch community, the Whiskey Cigar Lounge. He's not feeling great at the moment. He's a little bit ill. Hope he's okay. I'm pulling through. I'm sure he will. He's a survivor. Yeah. So just in AP. And it's looking nice as always. Give you a zoom in. Oh, yeah. All shiny. I was over in the Follow store today. He wasn't there. He's away at the moment. But his son was there. Just getting a few things adjusted. And we're kind of in the back room there. There's you go down steps and there's a back room where they deal with all the big business, and they have all the watches you don't see in the window. They take care of polishing and fitting the size and all of that. And the doorbell rings. You have to ring a door. They have to buzz you in because it's a jewelry store with millions of dollars of stuff in there. And it's a kind of an attractive, refined looking lady in her, I want to say, late 30s, early 40s. Blonde, well dressed, Italiana, with a little kid. She must have been 5 years old, also blonde and extremely well dressed. And she said, hi, I was walking down the street and I noticed there's one of the screws in my watch bracelet is sticking out. And I figured, seeing as I was passing you here, maybe I'll pop in and see if you can tighten it for me, because if it comes all the way out, the bracelet will slip open, the watch will hit the ground. Or God forbid, if that happened on one of the boats, drop down into the canal. And she takes the watch off, and one of the guys, he's up there dealing with her, and he goes, hang on, I'll bring it into the back and I'll screw it in tight. I'll check the other bolts, screws, and I'll put a little Loctite on them. That's what you're supposed to do. And he looks at me with this glare, and he shows me what's in his hand. It was a perpetual calendar chronograph, Audemars Piguet, about $100,000 watch easily. I was like, damn. Roa 71, Sweet Vermouth, Bruce Wayne. Is that what we call which one is the Bruce Wayne? That's the black and gray GMT, is that right? Yeah, that's a nice watch. That's a really nice watch. Service and adventure, bro. Are you cutting weight? I was, but I had family in town the past 10 days. I mean, I was away in Milan for my daughter's graduation last week, and then I had family in town for the past week. And it's dinners and drinks and dinners and drinks and all of that kind of stuff. So I kind of fell off my weight loss thing a little bit just because you're boring when you're doing that stuff. You know, it's good for your looks and your weight and your general feeling, but you're also no fun at the party. So just have to get back into it now that everybody is kind of left. Although my daughter is here at the moment. She's shooting a video here in the city for some new spritz product that we never heard of. We're like, what is that? It looks like a bit of an Aperol ripoff to me, but I could be wrong. So she has this shoot coming up. I saw her list of equipment. I'm like, oh my God. Shooting on Arri cameras. Kieran Kelly, have a great show. I sent your seagull video to 4 people. One guy bought it straight away. The other 3 said, you're looking fantastic. That's a nice thing to say. You see the rest of the message. It's in PayPal because he sent me a PayPal. And now I can't read the view message. Oh, for God's sake. Well done, PayPal, for being awful. Anyway, I get the gist. Thank you, sir. Yeah, the seagull. Hey, it's all about the price. There's plenty of haters in the comments of that video. To be expected, you know. They jump on any opportunity they have or think they have. But, I mean, their points are all moot to me. Because for me, you have to start with the price of the watch. That Aventi scandal that I was talking about, was that last week or the week before? I can't even remember now. Has gotten worse, a lot worse. I'm going to have to do a real video, the real content on it. What a disaster. And, but one thing that annoys me in the first place is another PayPal from Philip Manning, like clockwork. Thank you, Philip. Legend. I love the PayPals coming in. Thank you, guys. You look at the price of those ugly, disgusting, horrible watches, and you just go, oh my God. I'm in this little group of people who have been scammed, and everybody's sharing info and their experience, and if they heard from Aventi or if they're still being ghosted by Aventi. And I mean, it's a pretty shitty situation, but it's really, really difficult for me to feel sorry for any of these guys. I'm just going to say it. I know that's the horrible thing to say, but it is the elephant in the room. I bought that watch when producer Michael showed it. I'm thinking, oh, Jesus. There's so many things wrong with that sentence. My God. By the way, if you ever want to pop a cork out of a bottle the cleanest way possible, come home in the middle of the night, which I did last night, with the bottle of wine, stick it in the freezer because you've every intention maybe to pop it open in 10 minutes. You just want to give it a blast of cold. But then forget about it. Leave it in the freezer overnight. Completely forget you left it there. And as it freezes, it expands because that's what liquid does as it freezes. And it popped the cork out perfectly. And there is white wine all over my freezer. I'm going to have to scrub it out later. Most of this bottle is just a big block of ice. What an idiot. So yeah, for me, it comes down to the price. If Aventi watches were 600 bucks, 500 bucks, you'd be like, whatever. It's a conversation piece. It's very funny looking, strange, interesting. Even $1,000, you might go, all right, add it to your collection. Certainly don't make it your only watch. Bloody thing is ghastly. But no harm in adding it in there. And if it's fairly well put together, okay. But when you hear that they're 25 grand and 85 grand and stuff like that, you're like, are you joking? So I think it comes down to the money. I have a Seagull here. Gorgeous little thing. So elegant, so nice. Wonderful dial on there. Lovely color. And great looking movement. You can stare at that movement all day. And there's people going, what kind of stuff? It's only 470 bucks. It's like sitting in a restaurant and a little hole in the wall place, an Anthony Bourdain kind of joint with like 3 tables and no air conditioning and, just steamy hot place with the worst service possible, but the food is to die for and people come and line up to get, it's like complaining that the restaurant doesn't have good lighting or whatever. You're just like, dude, it's $5 for those noodles and it's amazing. You have to recalibrate. You can't compare this to a Breguet or to a, I don't know what, a Lange or whatever, because it doesn't cost anything like those. If it did, then you could. But anyway, I think it's a gorgeous little thing, and I think they will sell out very fast. As I said in the video, the green ones at Christmas sold out less than a day, actually. Cheers, guys. I'm just having a little bit of this Suave. Honestly, it's just to keep me cool. It's a beautiful day today, but there was lovely wind, but now it's kind of gone. I feel like it's going to be hot again tomorrow. Greg, nice shirt. Thanks. Just picked this up today. I've got a ton of these things at this point, all different colors. So yeah, microbiologist, those birds annoy me. Yeah, seagulls, I hate them. I don't care for the name. I'm not really concerned with that. It doesn't say it on the dial anyway. And it's not Seagull, it's Seagull 1963. There's a lot of different brands out there that use the Seagull name. These are Seagull 1963, and they really put together a beautiful little thing. Is it ready for the wars? No. Is there a rumor out there that the ST19 movement can be quite delicate and easily breakable? Yes, there is that rumor, and it probably is true. Keep in mind, it's less than $500. If it was 5,000, you could say, hey. You have to always take that into account, what you're getting. I think this is I would treat this as a dress watch, even though it's a chronograph. I think it's for dressy occasions. It's fairly delicate. I mean, it doesn't feel brittle or anything, but it's not for banging around or jumping in the pool or whatever. Seiko is more for that, around that price range. Some people were saying you can overwind that movement. Yeah, you can overwind a Speedy. You can overwind a 145.022 if you keep pushing the thing as you wind, and it gets to the end of that winding. If you just keep going, you're gonna break it. That can happen with any manual wind style watch or vintage style movement. So why is that a point? I don't get it. Anyway. Good for you, Kieran. Good for your friend for picking one up, because they are a nice little buy, nice little purchase. It's rare that you get all of that gorgeous, like all of that movement and detail in the back of the watch. So three-dimensional, and such a nice dial, nice details, and a real moon phase and all that for under $500. I don't actually know of anyone who does it for under $500. I know lots of shitty brands for under $500 that don't deliver any of that. So I have no problem promoting them. I think it's really nice little watch to buy as a gift or for yourself to add to the collection. Ray, €2. Brought my bit on the side to a Coldplay gig. Whoops. Yeah, you see that? Coldplay have a big like screen and they show interesting people in the audience. And there was a couple kind of hugging, and once they saw themselves in the screen, took them by surprise. And they both split in opposite directions. It was really embarrassing. Turns out they're both cheating. Really funny. The memes all around the internet are hilarious. My God. Everybody's getting a kick out of it. I was looking at it going, they should have played like it was nothing. They should have just smiled. No one would have noticed. You know what I mean? It was their reaction that drew the attention. Now everyone on earth knows about it. There's no hiding it from their significant others. It's funny, though. JMB, Beth T will be back one day making videos again. She was okay, wasn't she? She had a lot of nice watches. She had a lot of. I was always confused why she didn't have more subscribers, because she was, good looking, and a girl with nice watches. That's usually a combination that works. Bobby, blue or black Tudor 41. I say black. I like the black one. I had the black one for a while. I say black. It's a good one. What cigar is that, Benny? This is a Toscano Antico. These are cheap, cheerful, Italian, very strong little bastards. And I quite love them, actually. Well, this one keeps going out because I'm talking and not puffing. But that's what I should be doing, right? Yes, let's have a look at comments here that I may have missed from before. Nathaniel, we definitely did not lose weight the past 3 days. Yeah, because we had some good dinners, man. Nathaniel was here in Venice for 2 nights. We went to some great restaurants. We drank some great wine. We had some scotch. We smoked cigars. We talked into the wee hours of the night. Good hang. It's great to see him in the flesh. There's another guy who lost a lot of weight. He lost a lot more than I did. Looking good, looking slick. Joe LaFaro's in the room. Evening friends. Too early to drink on the East Coast, says Mehdi. It's only 4:20. Oh, sorry about that. It's hard to figure out the correct time to do this stuff where you can get everyone watching. And yes. Hell yeah, the AP, says Jason. It's looking good, yeah? I'll actually put something else on because I just realized was thinking, what watches have I not worn much lately? And I found this one. Which is also a big beast. One that doesn't get enough time. The Tudor Chrono Steel and Gold. How's that? It's hard to compare to an AP, any watch to an AP. Well, this is a nice watch. Good looking, handsome watch. Handsome is exactly what you'd call this watch. Very handsome beast. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll be back on the dieting. I kept things light today. I just feel way better, you know. And it's nice to be able to fit into clothes and things like that. Patrick, have you ever had a link screw back out before? Or was this one a one-off? A link screw back out before? You mean one that fell out? No, I've never had that. That wasn't me, that story. That was just some woman who walked into the store when I happened to be there. And it was just funny because I wasn't too nosy, so I didn't turn around to see. I saw the watch first and I was like, did someone just walk in with that to be tightened? And I turned around and I saw her with her kid. I was like, dang. I would have taken a closer look, but she would have seen me, you know. She would have been like, hey, why are you hanging around all your mates there in the back of the store? That's just not right. I told this story recently, but I did hear of a guy who finally got a call for a Panda Daytona after years of spending with Rolex. And he had it adjusted for his wrist, and whoever in the AD was a little less than professional. They didn't use Loctite, and he was going around all day showing people his watch. And he was on one of the public boats here, going up the canal with his hands kind of behind him on the rail or whatever. And the thing came loose and the Daytona fell into the canal. And that's the end of that. He only had it a day or less. That's called a horror story. Cheers, everyone. What's the frequency, Kenneth? Great song. He's having Balvenie 21, Davidoff Nicaragua, and GOCQ. What does he mean? Grand. I'm having a brain fart here. I don't know why people don't just type full names. Perhaps they're in a hurry. Perhaps they're giving birth to someone's child in the moment. They need to abbreviate it. Glashütte Original. Thank you. Glashütte Original. That's a nice watch. I've never seen Glashütte Original abbreviated to GO. I've seen GS for Grand Seiko and AP, of course, and JLC, because those are kind of difficult to pronounce, certainly the last two. But I've never seen anyone abbreviate. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Glashütte Original. From Glashütte, right? In the same area as Alange. GP, yeah. Girard Perregaux, yeah, okay. I guess we just don't talk about Glashütte Original enough for me to ever need that abbreviation. I do like their watches, though. I certainly do. Scott Yachtmaster 40 Rhodium. What a great watch. Yeah. So what are we talking about tonight? I was just reading up on that Sylvester Stallone thing that happened there a few months ago when he sold his Patek Philippe 1-of-1 Grandmaster Chime watch for 5.2 million, I think. And some people were under the impression he was banned from ever buying Patek Philippe again, but I couldn't corroborate that information when I went looking around the internet. However, Patek Philippe did express disappointment seeing that he did that, because they're very selective about certainly a piece like that, you know, piece unique. The funny sound in the background is the seagulls. Maybe I should feed them the watch. But yeah, they frowned on. They made a public statement about how they were disappointed in what he did. Of course, he was very public about selling it. Did a whole interview and everything, and it made news headlines in the watch world. And you know, I guess it hurt their feelings. They're like, "Hold on, we gave you that thing because you're Sly Stallone." And also, you're selling it and making a couple of $1 million. The hell are you doing? It's not like you need this money. And also, doing that kind of thing publicly is going to encourage others to behave the same way, correct? It's the thing about huge fame and notoriety. You should be careful the things you do. You pick up a can of Coke and then everybody starts buying Coke because you just drank out of the can of Coke, you know. You're like an influencer on steroids. Every single move you make, people are going to be influenced by, or they're going to take example from you. So people out there going, "Oh, wow, look, he sold the watch at a profit. And I didn't know you could do that." So in a way, it was kind of irresponsible of him. I was surprised he was selling any of the watches. I remember Russell Crowe years ago was selling his watches, and the auction was called The Art of Divorce. And they were all watches that he had purchased during a certain marriage or something, and he just wanted rid of them because of the memories attached. That was the whole point. So I can see why he would do that, but I don't know why these big wealthy stars need to sell their collection or some of their collection. Are they really strapped for cash? I guess some people do it for charity, right? They sell off. You see some rock and roll stars selling off some of their guitar collection or whatever, because they've got 600 guitars and they don't know where to put them. So they're like, let me sell them off and give the money to some poor kids. That I'm down with. Nathaniel, one of the kindest things I've ever witnessed was Oshin going out of his way to tell a woman to cover up her food to protect her from the predatory seagulls. Thanks for saying that, but it wasn't very kind. I'm used to doing that here because I see people who don't know what's going to happen. And when you get used to these damn seagulls, you can read the future. It's a curse. You can see exactly. I'm standing across the piazza sometimes. I'm seeing someone walk out with an ice cream cone or a sandwich or a brioche or something. And I'm like, 5, 4, 3, 2. It's just poof. It's flying in the sky. And they always yell out a yelp because it's so shocking. Don't know what's happening. Don't know if you're being mugged. Actually, you are being mugged. just not in the way you normally think of it. Now we do that a lot here, and Nathaniel, it's a nice thing to say, but I saw her there with her little chiquettis, and I was like, well, she's going to lose that. and just as I saw it, one of them swooped down and gave it a shot, but then decided to back off and do a go around. They do a lot of go arounds, like airplanes trying to land with a strong crosswind or something. Yeah. Yes. Right. Seagulls need to eat too. I don't care. I don't care about seagulls, and I don't care about mosquitoes. They all need to eat. But I don't care about them. They're evil, man. And look what they did on October 7th. Oh, sorry, no. I'm getting my wires crossed here. AP, I feel like the Cicchetti are at particular risk. Sure, because there's bread, anything bread or fish related. Although you will notice in the piazza, after all these years of eating fancy brioche and fancy desserts and breakfast croissants and things, that those particular seagulls have developed a taste. And if they see a sandwich, sometimes they'll just overlook it and let the pigeons go at it. Because what they want is the buttery, creamy, still warm from the oven brioche that costs $25 from Florian. They've actually become food snobs, the seagulls. But yeah. DG, did you catch Captain Steve's last vid on the Indian Air crash? I did, and I caught him on Piers Morgan too. He was a guest on Piers Morgan. I watched his channel go from 10,000 subs to millions in a matter of 6 months because he's an airline pilot. He flies a 777. He's been doing that sort of thing for decades. He really knows everything there is to know about sitting up there in the front left seat. And yeah, he obviously, when Air India went down, and other air incidents that have happened ever since Trump got in, strangely, I know I'm guilty of doing what I said I didn't like doing last week, and that's mistaking a coincidence with a correlation with a relation. But it just has been kind of an odd coincidence. So many planes have gone down this year. Yeah, he gets in and makes a video very quickly, very swiftly, and gets a lot of views because people are curious about what a pilot might say. Now, I have a pilot friend, as you guys know, because I did fly up front to New York last year with him and another pilot in the cockpit. And I actually, when those other incidents happened, I reached out to him and asked, would he like to come on, like anonymously, on the channel and talk to you guys, and you could all ask him questions. But he said that was kind of not really his bag, that it's not something he likes to do and other pilots like to do just after an incident, because it's kind of disrespectful and it's also conjecture. It's far too early to start guessing, even though he could make very educated guesses that are probably correct. It's still indecorous to do. So I kind of backed off ever since he said that. So when Air India went down, I can talk to him privately, obviously, but I don't really ask him for that favor anymore because I kind of see what he means. It surprises me that Steve does it. What is his name again? I can't remember. Yeah, Captain Steve. Captain Steve. It surprises me that he does it, but he certainly gets a lot of views. So maybe that's the trade-off. But I wonder, do other pilots kind of frowning at it, going, "Dude, what are you doing talking to millions of people about, it's less than 24 hours ago. Don't you have any respect?" Or something like that. I don't know what goes on in the world of pilots. Jeffrey Tortaro. 2 seagulls grabbed croissants from the neighboring table at Gritti last week. Startling. Yeah, they'll do that. And here's the good news. Gritti will bring you out fresh ones. So will Florian. So will most places. If you lose your breakfast or whatever, they'll run out and clean everything up, because those seagulls don't exactly... It's not a very precise, clean job. They have one motive, one objective only, and that is to get the brioche and get the hell out of there. So if the table falls over or the tray it's on goes flying and your tea or your coffee goes flying all over your lap, it's none of their concern as long as they get the goods. So what happens is the staff run out and go, "Oh my God, so sorry, these bastard seagulls, there's nothing we could do about them, blah, blah, blah." They clean you up, they clean everything up, and they bring it all out all over again. Now, some places, this doesn't work with seagulls, but some places here give you a little squirt gun. They'll put down an ashtray and various things on the table, and then a little plastic water gun. You're like, "What's that for?" And they're like, "Oh, it's for the pesky pigeons who want to get a shot at your potato chips." But that shit won't work with a seagull. Seagull doesn't give a shit. You have to go at that thing with a baseball bat. Joel LaFarad. There is a great YouTube channel that does great airline disaster reviews. Mentor Pilot. It's an education to see this kind of stuff. Obviously, it's pretty macabre just after an incident like that, Bodies still smoldering in the wreckage, and people are online going, "What happened to the disaster?" But people are curious. What are you going to do? That's why people slow down in traffic when they're passing an accident. They want to see if there's legs and arms hanging out of the car. It's the only reason they're doing it, really. Jeffrey again. You have to make videos of Murano Burano. I think I might do them both in one video. I don't think there's enough in either place, although that might be me just thinking with my stupid head. Other YouTubers might be like, "You kidding me? Make 4 videos out of it, capitalize, spread it out." But yeah, Burano, all the little colorful houses there, it's very quaint. And Murano, of course, with the furnaces, making the blowing the glass. Juan Oliver Sanchez, Reinhard, I like your content. Not sure if I'm boring you, but what is your favorite Tudor of all time? I have it on. I've had many Tudors. I've had the Harrods. I've had the black one, the not Harrods, or whatever you might call it. I had the 58 blue just for a review. Or was that mine? I can't remember. Anyway, it was a little small on me for a dive watch. What else have I had? The Pro, the Back Bay Pro, that looks like a 1655. I had the white dial, one of these when it was first announced. I did a big video on that. But this is my favorite one. And I know it's steel and gold, but I don't care. And I love that the gold is satinized. It's not shiny. It's not glossy. So even though it's steel and gold, it doesn't have a kind of cheap look to it. And I love that it's all dark and chocolatey and very, very easy to read, which the white one was not. Tudor watches are manly. What are you going to say? You know, I've said this before, but when people say Tudor's the poor man's Rolex, I just say remove poor. It's the man's Rolex, because Rolex, yes, they can be beefy and manly and have that masculine look, but some of them can be a little less than that, right? The Datejust is not a particularly masculine watch. Neither is the Day-Date. Neither is the Daytona, for that matter, which is why you find many people, including people like Kris Jenner, who was here for Jeff Bezos' wedding a couple of weeks ago, wearing a Daytona on her wrist. But Tudor are men's watches. There's no doubt about that. It's getting kind of hot here. The wind is gone. It was so lovely and breezy today. Andrew Walkowicz, $10. I was sitting in my car having a sandwich once with the window down and a seagull pulled the sandwich right out of my hand as I was about to take a bite. Filthy critters. Hope folks subscribe. Thanks, man. Yeah, give us enough folk, guys. Thumbs up. And subscribe if you feel like doing so. Be nice. Yeah, those seagulls will do anything. Hey, they're hungry. When you're hungry, you can get desperate. It's what kills me the most is when people tell the seagulls there's going to be food in a certain area, and all the desperate seagulls gather in that area, desperate for food and water, and then the people just start shooting at the seagull. Oh, sorry, I'm getting my wires crossed again. That's Gaza. Sorry. They shoot the people waiting for food. Ghastly. Lewis celebrating my new Gene Kranz reissue with a Guinness and a Glenmorangie. Glenmorangie. That's what Highlander drank, huh? Christopher Lambert and Highlander. Glenmorangie on the rocks. I've only had a couple of Glenmorangies over the years. There's Severin smoking a Monte Cristo Open Eagle, drinking a nice Camus cognac. Okay, I thought you were about to say Camus wine. Do you still own the two-tone sub? Thinking of picking one up soon, hopefully. Severin, I do not own a two-tone sub, no, because why? What is the reason? I mean, I have a full gold sub, and if it seems a little defeatist to have a two-tone sub when you have a full gold one. Why don't you just wear the full gold one? You know, but that might be a little unfair because two-tone subs are gorgeous watches. I don't mind them. I don't have a problem with two-tone that other people have. I've never had it. You're getting a lot of those golden tones and that kind of shiny blinginess, but the watch is a beast. It's steel and it's strong and resilient. A gold watch is not strong and resilient. It's just simply not. It's a beautiful thing, but it's not as strong as steel. No, I don't have that two-tone. And I like that one because it was black. The bluesy is nice. But I also like the black. if I were to get a new gold one, a 126618, is that what it is? Yeah. I would be tempted to get the black one for two reasons. One is I think black and gold are very complementary. It's very masculine. Sorry, there are three reasons. The second one is the blue on the new ones, because my solid gold bluesy is an old one. It's 1993, I think. And the blue back then was much more royal blue, it was deeper blue, more luxurious kind of blue. The new blue on the two tones is very bright and pastel, and I don't think it looks as serious as a watch with that blue. I don't know why they changed that tone of blue. But the black remains black. Black doesn't change. I mean, things could be matte black or glossy black, sure. So it's a fallacy to say, oh, all blacks are the same. You can't say it's a dark black or a light black. Actually, you can. You can. A matte black is a light black, because a matte black will have slightly gray reflections from it. But whereas glossy will always be kind of a deeper black. However, I digress. The black is impressive. The last reason, of course, is you'll get it for cheaper. People want the blue one. So if you want to, not from Rolex, they're all the same price, but you shouldn't buy one of those from Rolex, because you'll pay less for a brand new unworn one on the grey market. Save yourself 10 grand or something on one of those now. So unless you're trying to build up your kudos with the local AD, because they'll love you. They'll kiss you on the cheek if you pay full whack for a solid gold piece, and you'll probably get a call for a stainless steel piece the following week just to thank you for taking it off their hands, because they know that down the street there's a grey market dealer who sell one for 8,000 or 10,000 less. But going to that grey market dealer, if he has two in stock, a blue and a black, he's going to get more offers for the blue. So you'll be able to kind of hammer down the price probably on the black, so you can save a little. But still, I still think the black is beautiful. Lewis Appleby. Shirt and two-tone Tudor looks the bomb. Really? Does it go with this shirt? I wasn't expecting that comment, but I guess maybe it does. Yeah. This is a good watch. I like this. You used to get a lot more wrist time. Joe wore black two-tone almost exclusively from 94 to 99. There you go. Nothing wrong with it. So, where was I? Eric Arnold's asking about the F1 movie. I haven't seen that movie, and I should, because I did make that video about Sterling Moss and the DBR1 and the early days of F1. But yeah, there's a lot of films I want to see. I want to see Superman. Did you hear about that? Superman apparently is a pro-Palestinian movie in disguise. It's masquerading as some sort of political message, yet the director swears that it's complete coincidence. What I find funny is the Zios that are offended by the movie, because they're fucking freaking out like they always do, and screaming and wailing. And Oh, clearly this is anti-Israel. Yes, it's never mentioned in the movie. There's no mention of it. They're made up places. They are fake names for some imaginary place. There's no mention of any specific place like that. So they're giving themselves away, aren't they? They're seeing little kids getting shot in the desert and they're recognizing it, going, hey, is he talking about us? So it's like, gotcha. They don't realize when they tell on themselves, do they? Warning. Well, they're using children as human shields. So you're admitting you shot through the children. Got it. How dumb do you think we are? Dental Gold, stop ranting. You stop ranting, Dental Gold. How about that? This is all I do on a Friday night. It's always a rant. Rob Smith, brilliant Moss video. Thanks, man. That means a lot to me. There's a lot of work went into that. Yeah, AP Ben Shapiro had a full meltdown on it. Of course he did. But what's he doing? He's recognizing certain things and he's assuming, which is very telling. Now, but it's true because the movie is, I haven't seen it, but I've seen lots about it. And they're kind of bringing it back to the whole principle of, because there's the Zack Snyder one with Henry Cavill, and it's kind of a walk away from the original idea of Superman, because Superman essentially, and Christopher Reeve was quoted saying this years ago, that Superman will always be remade in the future because it's an eternal story. And he's like, what would you say? The interviewer is saying, what would you say to men playing Superman or men making a Superman movie in the years to come? And he said, just remember that it's about him being good. It's about a man with all of this power, but his obsession is good and to do good for others and use his powers as good or for good. And it's apparently this new movie is getting back to that even that he could just go out and just use his ability to do whatever the hell he wanted, and he could kill a lot of people if he wanted, but he's obsessed with never hurting a fly, protecting everyone and so on, which I think is pretty powerful. One thing I find just on a personal level kind of entertaining is it seems that in the soundtrack is a song from a band called Teddy Bears called Punk Rocker that features Iggy Pop singing Punk Rocker. And I've loved that song for years. And when my band dissolved, about 13, 14 years ago now, we were all left a little high and dry. Like, what are we going to do now? Like, what projects do we have? And I got in and formed a little fun band with the drummer from the band and then a friend of ours who is a guitarist. It was just a little angry three-piece thing. And I was doing some singing. Now, I don't have a good singing voice, but I can certainly do, a yelling or a punk rock thing, right? You don't need to have a singing voice for those kind of things. And one of the songs we did was Punk Rocker by Teddy Bears. And the lads had never heard that song before. I was like, here, this is how it goes. So I just thought of them when I heard about that, because if they're watching the movie with their kids or something in the cinema, they're going to be like, God damn it, that Oisin motherfucker will never get out of my system. He's like bedbugs. He shows up all the time. We can't get rid of him out of our lives. No, I'm exaggerating. The Archer is 550 watching and only 100 upvotes. Yeah, my audience are a little lazy sometimes with the upvotes. Sometimes not. Sometimes, I have three or 400 in the room, and I have 300 or 400 upvotes. It's kind of impressive. But they just forget, Archer. It's because my topic of conversation is so gripping and hypnotizing that they lose themselves in the monologue. Here's Patricia Teague. Superman has always had a political bent. Clark Kent was an investigative reporter back when the media actually looked for the truth and reported it. Yeah, there was always a moral thread through Superman, wasn't there? You're right about that. And yeah, Lex Luthor wanted to take over the world and all of that. Yeah, it's true. Rob Smith, Clark Kent was an immigrant. I know, that's another one. I know. You guys want to get me off on a rant, don't you? I can tell. You're just nudging me. Poke and prod the Ush monster. Now I'm excited to see that and other films. There's a film that I'm going to watch with my daughter while she's here in the next few days, called Adriatica or something, and it's following the kids here in Venice who go around on their little boats, because you see these little fuckers and they have these little boats with huge engines and they're flying through. These are kids who grew up here. They grew up on a lagoon. They don't care about the architecture in Venice. They're just little frightful young scamps going from place to place, from island to island, bringing girls out there, partying, getting drunk, waking up on the beach, and they're all about like who can go the fastest. And some of these kids, their boats are flying in the air practically. So apparently there's this movie that follows them. I was just out with two of those not from the movie, but basically from the exact same breed earlier tonight, having a beer, and they were talking about tomorrow, because tomorrow is Redentore here. It's a big festival. You've seen it on the channel before. I've live streamed. It's like a monstrous fireworks display, and there'll be thousands of boats all next to each other, and people playing music and getting drunk and going crazy. It's basically the biggest celebration of the year in Venice. So the lads are like, we're going to start out on Lido. We're going to go to a beach, take a swim. We're going to start drinking at 11 a.m. Then we'll be going from place to place, boat to boat, meeting friends. We'll wind up over here for the celebration and the fireworks. And it's going to be a wild day. And it's going to take them days to recover. And they said something that was just absolutely chilling, that I was not aware of. And they said, the crazy thing is, at least one kid will die. I was like, excuse me, can you repeat that, please? Yeah, apparently every year during Redentore, I've been here for 4 of them so far. Tomorrow will be my 5th. The kids speeding along on their boats in the middle of the night, going crazy, drunk and so on. Every year, at least one kid either crashes or comes off his boat and drowns or something. I did not know that, but it's a fact. So the lads are like working up for this big exciting day, but at the same time, they know that there will be tragedy. It's like huge concerts and someone gets trampled, So it's going to be wild. Bedster, £10. Great atmosphere, brilliant topics. It's Friday. Love the shirt. Thanks. Thanks. Light summer linen shirts is all you need. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing that film. I've mentioned this before on the channel, but there's a phrase here in Venice, imbarcare. Imbarcare, like to embark, right? That comes from put them in your barca. Your barca is your boat. When you're out talking to girls, you have your boat, you're a Venetian, you get talking to girls. They could be locals or they could be girls from the United States or the UK or God knows where, and they're here on holiday and they're together and they want to meet some nice boys. You get talking to a girl and you manage to convince her to get into your boat with you. She jumps into your boat and you're able to skip her off to like amazing little hidden spots around Venice or off to one of the islands and a beach that you can't get to with public transport or whatever. And you bring a bottle of wine. You've pretty much sealed the deal. You know, that's the way they look at it here. If she gets in your boat, it's a done deal. So people will say, la imbarcata, did you embark her, you know? It's basically a way of saying, did you get laid? Not funny? Their whole world revolves around maritime lexicon. But yeah. Funny. I don't know if I'm going to go down and stream it. Last year, I think I tried to stream it and it was a mess. It was just tens of thousands of people, no cell signal. And in the end, what am I streaming? Fireworks? Who the hell wants to look at fire? Admit it, when you film fireworks on your phone, do you ever go back and look at the whole video of the fireworks on your phone? No, you don't. Because certain things a camera just does not pick up. It's like when you see a big, beautiful moon in the sky and you pull out your phone, just put it back in your pocket. The phone is not going to capture the moon the way that you see the moon, you know, unless you have one of those Samsung things that when you zoom in on the moon, it recognizes that you're pointing it at the moon and then it makes a CGI moon to make it look like it has the best resolution camera in the world, but it's actually just playing tricks with you. Some things are just, they're never captured. And fireworks are that. I mean, yeah, you can see them and it's just explosions, but it gets boring literally after 10 seconds. You may as well just delete those videos off your phone. So essentially what I'm doing is that on live streaming. Now, who the hell wants to watch that, you know? So I probably won't do it. I could do it from my window. I could do it from this window. But if there's anything else in the shot, you guys will be able to triangulate me. Be able to figure out, especially with Google Maps these days, figure out anywhere in the world. Ray, getting drunk on a boat is a sailor's skill. Well, today the lads were talking about how sometimes they come home, like we're talking 3 in the 4 in the morning, whatever, after drinking all day. And these are skinny little scamps, okay? These guys can't hold the kind of liquor I can. And they're shit-faced. And they do a thing, they ride blind. They close their eyes. And they're in these little boats going to 85 miles an hour. Well, 85. What is it? Knots? They're going really fucking fast, bouncing up and down and catching air. And some of them are so drunk they just close their eyes and they hang their head down while they're doing it. No wonder some kid gets killed every year. It's fucking crazy. So yeah, But they convinced me to get a boat. That they did. Because, as you guys know, my big thing stopping me was parking and stuff. But they had a lot more reality to them. They're like, yeah, it doesn't matter. You can just, you can find a spot. And often people will just assume if it's, if they see you're using their spot or whatever, but it was available in the middle of the night, doesn't matter anyway. They weren't going to use it. They'll usually give you a day or two grace and just ignore it. And maybe someday you might get a fine from the cops, but you might get a fine from the cops for parking your regular car somewhere. That won't stop you from getting a regular car now, will it? So they were like, don't make such a big deal out of that. Then they also made a good point because you can pay to have your boat hung in a, what they call a cantiera here. It's like where they keep all the boats, they hang them. And you go over, you call ahead and you go over and they dump the thing down in the water for you and so on. It's a nice way to keep your boat, especially if you have a wooden boat, because it takes it out of the water and it maintains the bottom so you don't get all that gunk all over the wood and stuff as much. But I was like, yeah, but they're a pain in the ass because they close like at 7 or 8 in the evening. And if I'm going to get a boat, I want to be able to stay out all evening, go over to different islands and have a few drinks and go out with friends, have dinner, stop and have dinner in Pelestrina or in Lido or in Buran or somewhere. By the time I get back, they'll be closed. And that's what they were like, it won't matter. You can find somewhere and just, leave a note or whatever. And then just drop it over. But then one of the guys was saying, what you need to do is get a little shitty thing. If you want a nice boat, which of course I do. Of course I do. I'm not 20, I want something nice, right? Something sexy. And he goes, yeah, you can get one of those, but then spend $2,000 on a little stupid thing that you can just bash into the walls. And he's like, you can leave your nice boat over in the cantiera and then just use the little shitty thing just to get over to the cantiera and leave it parked next to it, and so on. Anyway, they had a lot better grip about how it all works. So it was quite enlightening. So I'm like, okay, maybe it is time now. I've been saying it for years. DG, I bet they ride around playing reggaeton. They absolutely do. And there's one guy has all these neon lights under the boat, so he lights up all the water around him as he's going through the water. He has speakers on his boat that are bigger than the boat. It's like a Honda Civic in Queens, New York. The car's a lump of shit, but the hi-fi system is huge and big woofers in the trunk and neon lights underneath that light up the ground. It's like that. It's just the boat version. So anyway, there's no Epstein list. Okay. That shit's blowing up in his face, huh? That is blowing up in his face. Kash Patel. Can we fucking study that fucker whenever he's finished? I'd like to see that guy on an operating table just dissected and examined. What fucking species is that weirdo with his big goggly eyes and staring there with a guilty look in his face? Who has the Epstein files? The FBI. Who's the director of the FBI? Me. Wow. Let's face it. Too many powerful people are on that list. Trump is on the list in a bad way. Videos of him doing terrible things. There was one interesting point I heard come up. Why do we need a list? We already have a list. All you have to do is believe women. just believe the women who have come forward, in some cases to their own peril, putting themselves in danger, saying, yeah, I was raped systematically on that island by that guy and that guy and that guy. There's your list. Why are we waiting for the guy who might be on the list to give us the list? That's the wrong guy to give us the list, right? Who's definitely on the fucking list. Why are we waiting for that guy to release the list? He's the wrong guy. We could just believe all the victims, or most of them, and then we have our list. Something I came across earlier. Yeah, it was this. Share screen window. Here it is. Donald Trump raped a 13-year-old girl. Her name was Katie Johnson. She filed a federal lawsuit in 2016. She swore under penalty of perjury that Donald J. Trump violently raped her at Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan townhouse. There are the papers. Katie Johnson. She said he tied her to the bed. She said he struck her when she begged him to stop. She said he threatened to kill her and her family if she ever spoke a word. Told her about a girl named Maria, just 12 years old, who was raped too, and then disappeared. And then Katie disappeared after receiving death threats. She withdrew the lawsuit and cancelled her press conference. She has not been seen since. This is not conspiracy. This is not unproven, quote unquote. This is on the record, court documents, sworn affidavits, multiple witnesses filed in the U.S. District Court of Southern District of New York. Donald Trump wasn't friends with Epstein. He was a client. He was named. He was photographed. Boom. So if we just believe women, they go on, by the way. Then we have our list. But then chatting with actually Nathaniel, it came up over drinks there. And I was like, God, if a video comes out and it's Trump peeing on some 13-year-old girl or God knows what kind of disgusting shit, you reckon that could be the end of him? And Nathaniel made a very good point. He goes, no. Because the power of the cult is strong. The force is strong in this moment. And he made a very good point that Trump was absolutely 100% right back in 2016, saying, I could literally stand on Fifth Avenue and shoot someone in the head and they'll still vote for me. That's his quote. And he was right. Not that he shot someone in the head on Fifth Avenue, but he made his point. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You know what they'll say? They'll be like, oh, that's AI. They just made that with AI. Trump would never do that. Yeah. Right? Loser man, his cult won't care. Of course not. It's amazing power of cult. It's extraordinary. Extraordinary. Tomorrow he could say, I'm a Democrat. I've decided I've always been a Democrat. I love the Democrats. And all his cult followers will go, yeah, okay. Yeah. They'll immediately just flip because it's not a devotion to a party or an idea or principles or a method of governing. It's devotion to the man. It's like Jesus Christ. Astonishing. So it doesn't really fucking matter if he's on the list. But it won't stop them trying to quash it anyway. There's probably some other folks. I'd love if Alan Dershowitz was on there taking a dump on Prince Andrew's face or something like that. That would be just great. I want to see the end of that fucking slimy little cunt. Sorry. I get a little feisty sometimes. That dude needs to go away big time. Anyway, if it's not one thing, it's another. Now, Elon's coming in hard. How am I on Elon's side all of a sudden? What's happening to the world? How am I watching Marjorie Taylor Greene and going, yeah, you're right. How does that happen? What kind of sick, satanic, wet dream am I living in? Where I'm agreeing with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't really agree with her. What's happening is there's a certain movement now of America First politicians. They don't care about the Palestinians or whatever. They don't give a shit about that. They just are going, why are we spending our dollars, on that? It's not noble. It's just greedy. Why are our dollars going over? I mean, they make a very good point. Like, why does a young man or woman in the United States struggle to pay for education, struggle to pay for healthcare, while billions of dollars are going over to a totally other place, paying for everybody's education and healthcare over there, and paying for them to kill little brown kids with impunity? It's a good point. I'm right there with you, but don't pretend like you care about the people. You're America first. And I suppose that's okay to care about your country and your people. But the truth is we're all people, aren't we? I mean, what is a country? It's just a fucking imaginary line. We're all humans. Dirk Kennedy from the Eyebashers always makes that point. He goes, right about now, we need the fucking aliens to land, and we need them to be hostile. Because if some fucking weird lizards arrive down and they're hostile and they want to use us as food, then you'll see borders dissolve real quick, because we'll all have something in common then. Then the immigrants won't look so different, will they? He's an illegal immigrant. He came here illegally. So did you and your fucking ancestors. And your great grandfather came here illegally too. You imposter. No, actually, you should give him a gun, and you should have a gun, because now you have to fight weird lizard people with lasers for eyes, or whatever. It would be a real equalizer, wouldn't it? See, I told you I'd rant. I can't help it. That's what Fridays are about. God damn it. We've decided to spend the evening together and have a drink and a smoke in it. Chinwag. That is all. I haven't done any impersonations yet. I can only do 2 impersonations. Let's fucking face it. They're not even that good. It's Daniel Plainview and Al Pacino. That's all I got, okay? I'm a 2-trick pony. I can do Archie. I can do Archie talking to Al Pacino. That's a shitter. Shitter. Good word. I can't even fucking do a Pacino now. Forget it. It's all falling apart. Some people are really good at that. I'm not one of those people. I just have fun. I remember when I was in Dublin, I came across, what's it called? Honest, fair and honest coffee or something. There's some coffee in Ireland, like a Starbucks or some sort of coffee place, and honest and fair or something it's called, or it's whatever Archie always says. Can I be 100% honest and fair? Can I be 100% honest with you there? I couldn't believe the name of this place. I was like, well, I wonder. Frank and honest. That's it, Rava. Thank you. I couldn't think of that word, frank and honest. Hey, Kieran, let me know as well. Frank and honest. Because that's what he says, isn't it? I haven't watched Archie. You can tell I haven't watched Archie in ages. Jesus. Can I be 100% frank and honest with you there? Frank and honest coffee. That's so weird. What a weird. There's Louise. What a weird name for a coffee place. Frank and honest. Maybe they're Archie fans. Don't buy our regular brew. It's shit. It's a shitter. How is he doing? Is anybody still watching? I should check in on him sometime. Yeah, that's one comment I see in the, I saw in the Seagull Watch video. It's a shooter. Of course, Archie has Breguet, right? He's like 3 Breguet watches. Yeah, they're great. They're not shooters. They're like some of the greatest watches ever made. But they're $30,000 for crying out loud. Did anybody hear that conspiracy theory that Richard Mille weren't supposed to be as expensive as they are? But their first, or one of their first big advertisements, they mistakenly printed an extra 0 on the price. Anybody hear that? Is there any truth to that? I think that's fascinating if it's true. Like the watch was supposed to be 100. It was supposed to be 13,500, but there was a misprint and it was 135,000. And they were like, "Oh my god!" But they started getting calls and they started getting interest. And they're like, "Oh my god, people are falling for it. They're going for it." It sounds like a stupid conspiracy theory, doesn't it? Here's a question for the audience. What conspiracy theories do you believe? So think of the the big ones. Landing on the moon, right? JFK assassination. Was it Oswald or not, right? 9/11 was an inside job. Whatever. First of all, if you ever meet someone who believes all the conspiracy theories, they go, "Oh, we never landed on the moon. 9/11 was an inside job. COVID never really happened. The vaccine was just a way to control the masses," etc., or whatever. Just go through the list. Then you know you have an idiot in front of you. But I think we all believe, or maybe not fully believe, but we ponder at least one conspiracy theory. I mean, do any of you believe absolutely every verbatim story you're told throughout your life? I grew up in Ireland. We were told as little kids, there was a famine in Ireland, right? the potato blight, and that's all we ate was potatoes. And therefore, when the potato blight came along, we all starved. And that was a complete conspiracy bullshit story. Fake news. There was a potato blight, but the rest of the food groups, meat, milk, cheese, eggs, blah, 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 were being shipped out to England at gunpoint. We're being starved. That's the story, not the fucking potato blight. But which ones are you guys okay? Elusive Man, I ponder 9/11. Yeah, I think we all do. Ray, are you a flat earther? That would be cool if you were a flat earther, man. RFK was a 100% a conspiracy, says Eddie. DJ, U.S. government has some UFO artifacts. Wow. Rova, flat Earth. Yeah, flat Earth is a biggie, isn't it, these days? JFK, Jason Bill. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think the Mossad took him out because of Ben Gurion and Dimona and all of that. Absolutely. I've been saying that one for years. There's one I do believe. Oswald was just patsy. Absolutely. Severin, Area 51 for sure. They got aliens in there. I love this. This is funny. Rob Smith, nope. Do you mean there is no conspiracy theory out there that you even give a moment of consideration? That's almost as disturbing as a person who believes all the conspiracy theories to me. Elusive Man. Ha! Roo-ha! AP. I don't even doubt it. Look at what Viagra was. It was for blood pressure. Yeah, Viagra was for heart conditions. Blood pressure. It's still good for certain heart conditions, though it can also be dangerous. Boners were just an unforeseen side effect. Well, that happens a lot in medicine. Accidentally stumbled on billions. Yeah, Pfizer, right? Yeah, well, that can happen. I think a lot of, especially early medicine, was discovered that way. Mike Lewis, let them eat potatoes. Pretty much. It's a good way of putting it. COVID was BS. Blinky, there's one. Look at that. COVID was BS. Wow. We better go find all those people who died of it and tell them. Dig them up. Guys, come on. But I'm decomposing. Doesn't matter, it was all BS. Of course, I don't know what he quite means by COVID was BS. Does he mean it never existed at all? It was completely invented? Or does he mean that it was not from a wet market in Wuhan, but actually developed in a lab? Or does he mean, what does he mean? Or was it just another strain of flu, of which there are many, that was exaggerated? Didn't feel like BS when I had it. I can tell you that. Charles Thompson says there are a lot of professional athletes that believe the flat Earth is real. Oh boy. Antarctica. Do you know about Tarakiki? So you don't believe Antarctica? Maybe you're just joking. Does Antarctica really exist? There's also another one that Finland doesn't really exist. You ever hear that one? So Scandinavia is Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and Finland. But Finland actually doesn't really exist at all. Love that one. That's a good one. Diana, Omega fanboy. Yeah. Well, here's another one about Diana. Remember, she was all about the landmines and, disarming, removing all these landmines that were left over from conflicts around, especially Eastern Europe and so on. They were killing kids that were running through fields, and there were landmines left over from conflicts, and the kids are blown up. And she made it her one of her projects to deal with that situation, use her power to move that ahead. And apparently she had her eyes on Palestine. Always comes back to that, doesn't it? No, apparently she was interested in helping the children of Palestine. Oh boy, that's not going to go down well. In Buckingham Palace or whatever. They're going to frown on that. They might be like, you do realize, I can't even do, I have to get into the voice. Yeah. I remember hearing when you say ears for yes. You go, yes, 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 yes. You don't want to do King Charles. Yes. You say ears, but that's how they say yes. Yes. You do realize that we kind of we're to blame for a lot of that. You do realize that, young Diana. That if you start uncovering that whole mystery there, you may find yourself in a spot of trouble. Just a trifle. Jim Patterson, Jesus wasn't real. Well, I don't think Jesus was necessarily, it's a story. He could have been many people. It doesn't really matter whether he, and I always thought this, even when I was young, I'd take some flack for it. I always thought, well, it doesn't really matter whether he was actually a dude called Jesus, The important part is the moral you learn from the story of the existence of Christ. Yeah. Doesn't really matter where you can actually find his bones or his DNA. That's kind of beside the point. It's like looking for Superman's bones or something. You're supposed to learn about altruism and about giving and about things like that. Whether he actually exists is kind of irrelevant. I never got hung up on that at all. I don't really give a shit whether Jesus really lived or not. It's completely missing the point, in my opinion. DJ. What's the one you believe in, Oisin? Well, yeah, I definitely think JFK was taken out by the Mossad. I definitely think there are unanswered questions about 9/11. But it's hard to know, right? You'll never know. Also, it's kind of useless knowing, because if your government was behind it or whatever, or if it was, someone else trying to stoke the fear of the Muslim or the Arab around the world, which was very successful. That was what their plan was. It kind of doesn't matter whether, if it's true, then what you're telling me then is you live in a country with a government that are willing to horrifically sacrifice people for their political agenda, in which case you're kind of fucked, right? So why are you telling me? What's the point in discovering that it was an inside job? All that's telling me is like, you better shut up then, because you're no one and they'll fucking kill you too. No problem. So it's not really much of a discovery and not something you can really change. Sasquatch. Charles. The Loch Ness Monster. We were never on the moon. There's Benny Hill. We were never on the moon. I always say that the moon landings never helped their case for conspiracy. So whether it's true or not, it is also irrelevant. Or not completely irrelevant, but they never really, it's like you didn't hurt anyone, you didn't attack anyone, but you have blood all over you and you have a gun in your hand and a knife in the other hand. You're not helping your case. Oh, but I was practicing for a play I'm doing next week called Brutal Murderer. Okay, that might be true, but in the meantime, you're under arrest because we just called to this scene and people were brutally murdered and you have blood all over you. You're not helping. So the moon thing, whether it's true or not, there's so much shit that will stoke the flames of conspiracy that you almost kind of don't feel bad. You don't feel sorry for those who might be offended by that, like Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong and people like that, and all the hundreds and thousands of people who worked on those missions. You're kind of like, yeah, well, you kind of, first of all, you broadcast it live. What lunatic would broadcast that live? You don't broadcast that live. There's a million things that could go wrong. You want the whole family gathered around the TV, watch everybody get fucking minced as the thing just crashes on the moon, bring America down in one fell swoop. That's stupid. Pre-record it. And many other, and then never going back. That's great. So you go all the way there and you spend all these trillions and then you fucking never go back. And then lately they're trying to send probes up there and they keep crashing and falling over and they can't even send it. It's like, that doesn't help. Can you please just put a dude on the moon the same way as you did it all the way back then, 7 times apparently, and just dispel it? Now you'll dispel it all immediately. Maybe it's not on them to prove what they did. Okay. I'm just saying there's just so much shit. Ugh. Don't show us shots of the Earth through a window and make it look like the Earth is like the moon and then remove the piece of paper from the thing and you realize it's just a fucking bright light in the window. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Even if you just need some photos, because it's going to make the conspiracy guys go, you see? Like they made no effort to not just that they made no effort. It was like they almost actively were aiding the conspiracy to grow. So I'm kind of like weird about that one, you know. There's one elusive man. There is no Rolex waitlist. I think that's probably true because even if there is a wait list and you're high up on it and you're about to get the call that day for your stainless steel Submariner, but some big famous rock star walks in or a film star or someone with an insane spend history arrives to pick up their platinum piece, and says, oh, by the way, do you have a stainless steel sub my son wants when he's turning 21 tomorrow? They'll give it to him. And then you'll never get the call. So it's a list, but it's not really doesn't qualify fully as a list. It's missing a couple of letters. It's an ist. It's an amputated list. It's an ist. It's missing an L. Our list would work if only we could find an L. Anybody got an L handy? There's one that's in the news at the moment. Donald Trump assassination attempt was a hoax. That one's beginning to fall apart too. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on. Why are the security allowing all the photographers to continue around the whole podium, and there's all sorts of footage coming out. And why is his ear all perfect if that was the kind of caliber rifle and the bullet used? His fucking ear would have been shredded. Blah 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 blah. There's so much stuff. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. Who fucking knows? Rob Smith, Diana was killed for sure. Arms industry. Well, if someone's going to kill you, those guys will kill you because they have a lot of money and they don't want anyone fucking with their money. Mobster 569, thank you. Yo, Dragon, happy Friday. How do you get watch sponsors? Love the Seagull 1963 video. And look at the arse in the thing. How do I get watch sponsors? Different ways, lots of different ways. You talk funny, Nash. Where are you from? Lots of different places. Arova, there's one I hear all the time. If the moon landing was fake, I don't believe the USA's number one enemy, USSR, at the time wouldn't have blown the whistle. They did. That's a common misconception. How many people who live in the USSR do you know? And how much of their media do you consume? That's my next question. How do you know what the Russians have been saying? The Russians have been saying for decades that they completely have been saying that for the longest time. What is your definition of blow the whistle? Greg has a ton of them. Oh, man. Greg, one vacuum of space destroys. Radiation destroys film. 3 astronauts' body language was all off after launch. So you don't believe that the moon landing happened. Okay, I get it. Grissom was killed and many others died suspiciously. Challenger's crew were all twins. It was to test radiation effects. You're gonna include the crew of the Challenger in there too? Oh, that's not nice. They weren't even up very far. It was an implosion in one of the rockets. 6. Artemis had 2 mannequins filled with radiation detectors. When the capsule landed, it was taken back under the cover of darkness as radioactive and burned to a crisp. Well, one thing is true. Oh, here we are. Nixon never attended because he never expected folk to believe it. Oh, so you're all in there, man, Greg. Dang. One thing is true. If you're going to tell a lie, you better tell a big one, right? Always tell a big lie. It's the small lie that gets, gets uncovered. If you tell a big lie, it has a kind of protective shield on it from the get-go. And that shield is the fact that a lot of people are going to dismiss the possibility of it being a lie by saying, there's no way they would ever, ... If the lie is big enough, people will immediately instinctively doubt that it could be a lie because they'll go, there's no way they would ever do that, right? Right? So you already you deal with about 70-80% of the possible non-believers right there. Because their world is built on the fact that it has to be true. Otherwise, their daily lives don't make sense. Occam's razor. Occam's razor, Jim Patterson, of course. The simplest answer is usually the one that's closest to the truth, right? The bigger the lie, more people believe it. Rob Smith. I feel like we have a lot of conspiracy theorists in the room. Dilla Pretty, are you a Toscano exclusive man now? I'm not. No, I'm not. I like a nice big Oya de Monterey or whatever, but I'll tell you one thing. It's like a nice bottle of wine is a beautiful thing, and boy, we can get arty and we can get expensive with that stuff. But sometimes you want a hard whiskey or a brandy or something just to get you a little banged up in your head. You want one strong one at the end of the night just to take the edge off the day or whatever. And the wine will require a whole bottle to get through to do that. Whereas the cask strength whiskey will deal with that problem in 5 minutes flat. That's kind of what Toscanos are. I found myself the other day. I was having a nice big real cigar, and it was smooth and beautiful. But I found myself gumming for one of these after, just as like a shot of brandy afterwards, or a vodka shot or something. It's like these are strong and intense, And now I smoke nice, quote unquote, cigars, expensive cigars, and they don't deliver the goods as much. They are beautiful, but Blinky, I saw Challenger explode with my own eyes. So you were there? I watched it on TV. I was a kid. Fucking terrible. Yeah. Ray, flat Earth, moon landing, JFK. Where will it all end? It will all come out in Trump's book. I always felt like if anyone's going to blow the lid off any of those big conspiracies, it would be Trump, just because he's a bit of a reckless lunatic. Aliens built the pyramids with the help of Loch Ness Monster, says JP. I don't know. I'm just curious because, we're all walking around the world and we all have different ideas. I know people here who are anti-vaxxers. Good friends. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but they are. And I actually know people who got the vax shot, the fake vax shot. Did anybody hear about that in the news here in Italy? Way back in the time when everybody needed the jab to just go out and go do anything. Because you get the jab and then you get the green pass. It was a barcode thing, a QR code thing on your phone. And there was a nurse that was faking the jab. Like, you go in, you'd sit down, she'd hold a cloth over while she gave you the jab, but she wouldn't actually jab. She'd just spray the stuff onto the floor behind you. And she was picked up by the cops, and the whole thing came out, and they were giving her money and all. She's fucked. I actually know a couple of people who did that, who went to get her jab. Can you believe it? How do I know all these fuckers, man? What is it? I keep running into these controversial characters. They're lovely people in every other way, but they're just absolutely convinced the jab was bad for you and was going to kill you, or wasn't researched properly, or whatever, or COVID was a hoax. And yeah, there's a lot of people just walking it around. Then I had lunch with a bunch of people, and my friend was like, there's 2 nurses coming to the lunch. I was like, are you trying to fix me up with one of them? He goes, no, I just want to warn you that one is completely anti-vax. I was like, okay. And the other isn't. And the 2 of them might get into it. I was like, okay, that'll be fun. I'll get the popcorn ready. I remember when I was living with the doctor, she said this, she could talk to pretty much anybody about anything, different political beliefs or whatever. But there were two types of people she could not converse with. And they were anti-abortion and anti-vax. She's like, I'm not speaking to either of those people. I don't care who they are. Hey, it's funny. I just think it's kind of interesting that we're all walking around the same planet, rubbing shoulders, rubbing past each other, ordering coffee from the barista and whatever else, just interacting. And you don't know if you're talking to someone who thinks that, Hillary Clinton is a lizard from outer space or something. If I thought that COVID was a complete hoax and complete BS and invented to control the masses, and I'm not sure I'd want to live on this planet the way it is. I'm not sure I'd stand for that. That would be pretty fucking crazy. Then I'm aware that certain people love to think about a conspiracy, right? There's those people as well. Unfortunately, most of us in the world have to face the fact that we are insignificant. We are no one. And even though we have loved ones around us, maybe, not all of us, but most of us, many of us, that within 5 minutes of us passing, we'll be forgotten. And that most people on the planet are actually essentially insignificant and will make no difference to the world in any meaningful way and will be forgotten pretty quickly. And that's a horrible reality for people to even think about or ponder, that everyone wants to have a little spotlight syndrome and feel like they're somehow special. And the world is somehow a slightly better place because they're in it. Now, some people figure out that that's kind of not true for most people walking around the earth. And a lot of those people commit suicide. I have a conspiracy theory about conspiracy theories, that some people like the conspiracy theory because it makes them feel special. It makes them feel like they know more about the world than the rest of the people. And it puts them, it's kind of a quick and easy way to launch themselves inside their own mind, not in reality, but in their own mind, launch themselves to a position of exceptionalism. So if you write a great novel, great book, and it's a big bestseller, or you make a great movie, or you become a big politician, whatever, you are now an exceptional human being. More people out there know about you than would have known about you, right? Or know about most other people. And perhaps that's one reason why we all marvel at famous people. We tend to idolize. There's nothing different about a famous actor. He takes a dump every day the same way as you do, and he needs food the same way as you do, and he has his own fears and private problems the same way as you do. But for some reason, when we're around, or many people are around, some sort of significant famous person, we get all nervous, we get sweaty, we start smiling, we start giggling, we want to take a photo with them. We like to recognize the difference because there is a difference. We are insignificant and will be forgotten in 5 minutes, and they won't. And that's a huge difference, or at least it is to us as vain creatures. And there's nothing like a fast track way to find your way to something without doing the hard work, without writing the novel or directing the movie or making political change in your region, working your way up the political ladder or whatever. That's a lot of hard work, and most people don't want to do it and don't even know how to do it. Which is why we marvel at the Steven Spielbergs and the Martin Scorseses and the Stanley Kubricks of the world, and we marvel even at the Trumps of the world. I mean, it's undeniable his achievements, whether you like him or not. You can't deny his achievement. That's undeniable. But it's a lot of hard work, and it took him a lot of time, and it took him a lot of fucking bullshit. He had to spew a lot of horse shit to get to where he went. He deserves a pat on the back for all of that bullshit. At very least. There's nothing like a shortcut, is what I'm trying to say. An easy way to skip from insignificance to somehow being special or significant. And conspiracy theories are one of those ways. There's no better way to go from being just the dude at the store who's packing people's grocery bags to go to, wow, Steve, or, Scott or John, or whatever your name is. He knows more than the rest of us. Conspiracy theories attract people into that feeling. They draw people into that feeling of somehow being significant and somehow being special and slightly elevated above others. When you walk around the world going, everybody thinks this stuff is true, but I know the truth. That makes you get up in the morning. It gives you a reason to get out of bed in the morning. So that's why I mentioned earlier that quite often you'll find people who believe in one conspiracy theory believe in lots of them. Logically, that doesn't make any sense at all. When you think about it logically, mathematically, that shouldn't happen, but it does happen. Why? Because the same kind of character will be attracted to that rare information that feels taboo, that feels special, that feels somehow setting them apart from the masses. And it's actually a very, very human thing to do. Very, very human. People don't want to think about the fact that they're just a fleshy bag of water walking around that's eventually just going to stop one day. This is why we wear beautiful clothes and spray on nice fragrances. We try to doll ourselves up and flower ourselves up, make ourselves feel special. We go to great lengths to distinguish ourselves from the animal world. Doesn't mean all conspiracy theories are incorrect. It's highly unlikely that every conspiracy theory out there, even the big ones, are incorrect. All of them. That's highly unlikely. Much more likely that one or two of them, the big ones, have truth to them, or perhaps more true than we even know they're true. Maybe even worse than the conspiracy theorist thinks. But that's not the interesting thing about conspiracy theories. The interesting thing is what attracts people to these things and why do they associate? Because all thought at the end of the day is based on feeling. Or most thought. Mathematics is not, but most other thoughts you'll ever have in your life are based on the feeling that you have about the thing. It starts with the feeling you have in your gut, and then you build your logic around it. That's human beings. And that's why I can fraternize that's why I can go to lunch with an anti-vaxxer, or talk to some fucking skinhead or whatever. For whatever reason, they have a feeling in their gut that leads them to the place where they go. Charles Thompson, and wear nice watches. Yeah, watches are probably part of that exact thing. A more innocent version. Probably, yes. But yeah. Paranoia is a survival instinct. That's been proven. There's no question about that, Greg. The reason why we recognize faces is because of paranoia. That's how we can recognize a person. We see a person, we don't see them for 20 years, and then we see them again, we recognize them. Or we recognize a famous film star walking down the street out of thousands of people. Or we recognize a family member or whatever. We recognize, we have astute recognition skills for facial features because for thousands of years we were in caves terrified that a fucking panther was going to creep in and kill us or whatever predator. So at nighttime we'd be searching for shapes that look familiar, like eyes and nose and things like that. We have that high faculty because of our survival instinct. Because when you look at a bush or a tree or whatever, it looks benign. But if you look at that same tree and you go, is that a pair of eyes looking right through that tree? That's a threat. Because if that's a tiger or a leopard or a boar or whatever, it might pounce it. It might be, casing you out and ready to pounce on you. So you have to be ultra aware and look for patterns. That's why people look at clouds and go, oh my God, it looks like a face in the cloud. Because your brain is trained to look for patterns and familiar shapes and so on. That's a survival instinct. And it's born from paranoia because we don't want to be eaten by something that wants to eat us. Am I gone over the hour? I have. That was interesting. These days, I don't even have anything on the agenda. I just come on if I can spew a load of stuff. I'll try next week to actually have something to talk about or tell a story or something. Yeah, maybe have a guest on or something like that. Let me see if Dirk is on. Go over and talk to Dirk and do eye bashers. Continue the conversation. I'll ask him what conspiracy theories he believes in, if he believes in any. He's not on yet. That's okay. Let me make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Got Momster, got Vedster, got Luis, Andrew, and Ray. And thank you for the PayPals, guys. It's very generous. Nurse DJ. Uncle Leo, we need more story time. Okay. I'll try and think of one. There's lots of them. They're all dusty. They've all been sitting in a room somewhere in the back of my head, gathering dust. I need to pull them out, blow the dust off. Big Foss, I've got the Seiko Turtle Hulk on. Bought it before Oshin made the video about it, where it's nice, some millimeter smaller than the full-size turtle. Yeah, it's a good watch, but it's not for a big wrist. Should I put on another? Let me put on the AP again. Just because I haven't been wearing that much on the channel lately. But this Tudor is sexy. I love it. Good, strong watch. Stick this AP back on. I swear to God, I was just so shocked today in that store. That woman walked in with her AP perpetual calendar or whatever it was. Going, I think my bracelet's a little loose. Can you check it? Like, what the hell? Who is she? DJ $2. Any new videos? Yeah, I am working on some new stuff. I am. They're coming. One of the reasons why I do this Friday night thing is just to check in with you all, because if I didn't do them, my video release schedule is so haphazard. You wouldn't know when one's coming. You know, you see the other channels, they do it every Friday or every Sunday or whatever. There's a regular video and they just work on it all week and then drop it on the weekend or whatever. And it's like clockwork. And that's great. But it also means that there's no chance of the content being particularly engaging, in my opinion, because coming up with interesting ideas is not something you can count on or rely on coming out when you want it to come out or whatever. You'll only find the really good ideas for videos or a song or anything or a movie or whatever you're doing, whatever business you're in. You'll only find that stuff outside your comfort zone and in those other darker, less explored parts of your week. So if I were to try to put out a video once a week, you notice banality wandering into the room very, very quickly, because the schedule becomes the important thing instead of the idea or the artistry of the video. You're putting the schedule ahead of those things, and that will just decapitate those other things immediately. Might get lucky once in a while, but in most cases, it's not really going to work. It's been funny. I've been dealing with somebody mentioned earlier how I get sponsorships, and I do have an agency that work with me, and they fucking I think I test their patience a lot, because there's a brand that I did work with before that absolutely loved the video I made. They were just like blown away by it, and they were just, we got to pay this guy immediately. We were paying for a certain thing and we were expecting a certain thing, and what he gave us and how he showed our watch and in the way that he did it was just above and beyond. They were delighted. Anyway, so that brand now have come back through this agency again saying, hey, are you interested in showing their new watch? And I said, well, those guys should remember me. Do you remember? They were so delighted about the other video. Yeah, sure. Yeah. And they're a very interesting brand. And they have a lot of respect. So, yeah, sure. And they were like, okay, we'll let them know. I was like, okay. I thought they'd be like already like, can we work with him again? No, it's just weird. Anyway, the other night, they came back saying, okay, so they are interested, but they'd like to know what the video might look like, or can you give them an idea of what sort of video you would do for them? I was like, I have no fucking clue what video. First of all, I don't have the watch, and I don't know where my ideas are going to come from, but they're going to be good whenever they do come out. And it just created this rift once again with these agents. They just don't know how to communicate with me. We're just completely incompatible. I don't know how we've done any work so far, because their way of working is so regimented and stale and formal and by the numbers. And the way I work is none of those things. It's just fucking frustrating. I need an agent to go, no, you don't need to see an example of the video, because the video he'll make will be great and it'll be better than you can possibly imagine. So shut up and let him make your video. You're lucky he even said yes to make your video. How about that? That's the sort of agent you need. You need an agent to kind of shove you in their face and go, really promote you and be on your side. Not an agent that goes, "Oh, can you give them a sample because they're asking for a sample and maybe describe what you're thinking of." I'm like, oh my God. Just chop my dick off while you're at it. So yeah, it's been a weird few days with those guys. I feel like they're going to drop me soon. They probably should. They probably should. Because I just cannot and will not work the way they want me to work. They need a hands-on desk review. They need a Tim Moss or a Britt Pierce, something just incredibly sterile and no imagination in it whatsoever. Charles, just look at the stuff you've already pumped out. I know. This is what. And honestly, when I got their message, it was the other night, and I was drunk. I was out with my friend all night, Nathaniel. We were drinking, we were talking. This is a highly, highly intelligent person who's like full of impossible wisdom. And I'm rarely in conversations like that, so I'm enjoying it too. I get home and I have half a bottle of whiskey in me and whatever, and a ton of wine. And then I get this message, and I'm like, ugh. So I responded probably too aggressively. In the morning, I deleted it because they hadn't read them yet, because I could see when they read the messages. So I was like, I'll delete it. Okay, just be nice, Sashin, be nice. So I kind of rephrase it. And then the guy writes back to me, he goes, by the way, I saw those other messages. And I'm glad you rephrased it. I'm like, oh, okay, shit. But I mean, the first messages were how I really feel, which is like, you fucking kidding me? Not only will your watch look better, your watch probably isn't even fucking worthy of it, of the video I'll make for it. I'm gonna sit here and grovel and go, maybe I can try this, and is that okay? Nah, not gonna happen. But what will happen, if you let me take your watch and film it and pay me handsomely, is you'll get a video that'll give you a fucking erection. Good enough? And make people buy your stupid ass watch. I don't know. Wasting my time sometimes. But yeah, I think they should dump me. I mean, I'm either gonna dump them or they'll dump me. It's in the mail. It'll probably happen in the next couple of weeks. Erection production, Rick. Jerry Pym, 5 British pounds. Please don't underestimate how much someone appreciate the chat on a Friday. Videos are amazing, but the unscripted Fridays are valuable to some. Thanks for saying that, because I never know. I never know. You know. Thank you. Hey, at least I'm not doing it for nothing there, yeah. Just a bit of a chat. I think it's good for like people on long drives or on train rides or something. Just a little bit of a chat and they can listen to, that's great. Got a message last week there. I really like your channel. I love your videos, but I don't know why you share your political opinion. I was like, go fuck yourself. For the same reason I share any other opinion, dickwad. He didn't write that under the TT58 video. He didn't go, I really like your channel. I love all the watches and all that. But why are you telling me about this Formula One hero from the 1950s? I'm not interested. You didn't have a problem there. So it's not just straying from watch content and so on. It's that the person that you admire and you find interesting and you follow their content doesn't have the same stupid ass political beliefs as you, and it pisses you off. That's all it is. Just makes you uncomfortable that someone out there who might be a tad more intelligent thinks you're a fucking shitwit. Can I spell it out any more clearly? Phil, thoughts on Nico buying a $400,000 pound Ferrari and hanging out with Matt Armstrong? I don't know. I don't follow him. I didn't know he did. Didn't he get ripped off from someone buying a car recently? I heard about that. I don't know. I don't know how much money he makes. His channel's pretty big. Gets a fair amount of views. I don't know if it's £400,000 Ferrari kind of big. But you have to be very careful with these guys, because a lot of it is the illusion of success. They want to show wealth because it's what's the line from American Beauty, that film from Sam Mendes years ago? In order to be successful, you must project an image of success. And you'll find a lot of YouTubers, not just in the watch space, but lots of other YouTubers will do that. Because they feel like people look up to them because they've done so well. So they want to look as well as possible. So I don't know if he actually bought the Ferrari outright or if he, what the actual dirty details are behind it. But he will hang out with some big YouTubers because he has those agents that get him in front of people, and he is a big channel. So a lot of, hey, AP had him over to talk. That's a disgrace they'll take to their grave. Speaking of AP, cheers, Ush, $5. Thanks, man. Robert Lewis, $5. Ordinary Watch Guy is very curious, doesn't it? By the way, Ordinary Watch Guy, I saw your video you made kind of based on one of my videos. Which one was it? I can't remember. But you asked me, you're a gentleman, because you asked, can I use your video on based on? And I was like, yeah, go ahead. And it was great. So I saw your video, man. Guys, go over and subscribe to Ordinary Watch Guy. He's a nice guy. He's into watches, talks watches, good fun stuff. Always great to see new channels out there. So your question, doesn't Nico have a big secondary watch business? He does. It's called Pride and Pinion. Although I don't know how. He used to be the face of that, and that was his business and so on. But I don't know if they've separated since or what part he has in that business. Perhaps he's still just as tied in with that business as ever. I can't stomach looking at the guy, so I literally, if he comes up in my feed or whatever, I just flick past it. There's a huge history there. I don't know, but yeah, that's how he started. In fact, Nico Leonard's channel was originally called Pride and Pinion. That's when it started, and it reached 100,000 subs. It was called Pride and Pinion. He then changed it to his name, which is actually not his name. His name is Vanderhorst. You can ask the local police here in Italy because he actually filed a lawsuit against me. Believe it or not. But yeah, he went with the name. Now, my channel was originally called The Timeless Watch Channel, and I changed it to my it's actually really my name, but whatever. Maybe that was a stupid thing to do. I don't know. But yeah, he buys and sells Rolex. That's exactly his business for many, many years. And before Belfast in Amsterdam, he's not actually from Northern Ireland at all. He's Dutch. And he just learned the language and the accent and so on when he moved to Belfast. And there's a huge story as to why. If you want, you can go back and find it all out. It's pretty dark. Let me just warn you. But yes, I think a lot of his money comes through there. And I know other people in Pride and Opinion. I know one of his big business buddies there, Stephen. Rick Foss. Copyrighted, apparently. Thought Nico was all out of the watch game now. I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe. Again, I don't know much about the guy lately. Blinky, his new business is buying broken supercars that can't be fixed and doing videos on them. So he's into the car thing. Yeah, he likes cars. I don't really give a shit, honestly. Anyway, what am I doing here? Start live yet? I'm going to go over to him, have a chat. Yeah, he's live. Let me put the link in the chat for you guys. If you want to come over. I have a little bit of wine left and a couple more cigars. We usually go on for quite some time. It's a good laugh. Dirk is funny. Funny and knowledgeable. Albert, Nico said on his IG, I can't believe I'm in Portrush, my hometown. No, he's not from... I know everything about... I was in legal proceedings with him. I know everything about Nico Leonard. Everything. He's Dutch. He's from the Netherlands. He moved to Northern Ireland like over 10 years ago. He's not from Portrush. It's nothing to do with Portrush. I know, it's a fucking freaky, weird thing. He was on a dating show years ago on Dutch TV and everything. And I know all about his little backyard business and his fucking backstreet dealings and so on. I've spoken to all the people who used to deal with him there. That's why he started coming after me legally, because he realized that all the old buddies from the Netherlands wanted to come to me to tell me all the truth and so on, because they saw what I got into with him, and they're like, you don't know this dude, we know him. It's fucking freaky. No, his name is Vanderhorst. That's a real Portrush name, isn't it? To make things worse, apparently he's a loyalist, or at least his buddies in Northern Ireland are. Oh boy. There's a dream come true. I wonder, was he at that bonfire the other night? On the 12th, when they burn a bonfire and say death to all Catholics and Irish and so on. And this time around, they put a little model boat on the top with immigrants on it, and they burnt that too. Anybody getting arrested? Nope. Brits making a show of themselves once again. But Kneecap are under investigation for singing some songs. Got it. All right. Let me go over to Dirkus Maximus. Far too orange for me, says Ray Ray. Yeah. You guys are just getting interested now, huh? Listen, I'm not going to say I buried the hatchet, but I did a 6-week shoot in Ireland. I was exhausted, and it was my last day in Dublin. And I went to a bar in Dublin to meet a friend there, have a couple of last pints, go home to my mother, and take a plane the next day. And I was outside the bar with a pint, and who walks out of the fucking bar? Out of all the gin joints in the world, And I pointed right at him. And I think at first he was a little bit terrified, but then he came over and my friend arrived and he was like, "What is happening? Is this really happening?" And I honestly, I was like, okay, I either deck the motherfucker right here or, we both wind up in jail or I wind up in jail and fuck up the entire end of the 6-week shoot, break my mother's heart. Or I just don't talk about it. So we spoke about his kid. He had a kid and he was showing me photos on his phone. And then he shook my hand a couple of times and then went in. At that point, it had been a while anyway since the conflict. So I just had to make that decision to kind of go, okay, whatever. But I don't know if the lawsuit has been buried or not. I don't know. But he did hire a lawyer right here in Italy to shut me up. Should have decked him, Mushy. No, creator. If had I decked him, it would have been. Yeah, I would have gone to jail that night. I wouldn't have come home. My mother would have been like, because I was staying with my ma. She doesn't need any of that fucking grief. And yeah, I was just too exhausted at the end of the whole thing to think about that. But yeah, he's a pretty wild character. But don't worry, I've heard from plenty of other people in Belfast about all the shit he gets up to as well. The shit he gets into doesn't end with me at all. It's just I was just one small sample of it. He gets into it with a lot of people up there. They'll eventually kick him out and then they move to some other place. He'll move to Texas and pretend he's from Texas and assimilate their accent and the way they speak. Right? Just move from place to place. All right. Yeah, let me go over and talk to Dirk before this gets dark. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Good Friday night. Good chat. And I will see you all. Well, during the week, there'll be other content, so you'll see that. And then the live chat next Friday. Okay. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the PayPals, guys. Means a lot. Really does. And have a great weekend. Yeah, I'll see you with Dirk in 10 seconds. We'll continue the conversation. There's the link one more time. And if you just leave the video running, it might bump you over automatically. And, once I end this, which I'll do in a couple of seconds, it'll just flick over to Dirk. Dirk will just appear on your screen. Then I'll appear on the screen. And you'd be like, oh, great. It's a party now. The night is young, gentlemen and ladies. Have a good one.